Hello, hello. I hope that you are someplace warm because we are going to play with warming up the joints, particularly the hips today. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's find yourself, maybe you're cross-legged, maybe you're not if that doesn't work for your knees, and always feel free to sit on a bolster if that's better for you. But let's sit with our tail on the ground, hitting or on a bolster, hitting something relatively firm and stable. And we're going to do a little rock left and right to begin. And what I want you to do is feel how one side presses into the floor a little bit more as you rock. And we're going to minimize that. We're going to see if we can keep both butt cheeks pressed into the floor the same amount as we rock. See what that feels like. More isolation in the mid back. And then the opposite. We're going to get a lot of weight over here. We're still going to press down through there, trying to reach it down to the ground, but we're getting all of our weight over this one butt cheek, and we're going to stretch out the side of the body here and here. Cool. Let's bring up the knees in front of us, wider than the hips, hands behind you to support, and we'll drop these knees left and right. And then come back to a stable seat, and we will play with our breathing. So for today's breathing exercise, very simple one. Inhale, think of lengthening through the top of the head. Exhale, think of grounding through the tail. And I want you to think of, as you're grounding, think of not just straight down, but like down and out. Like let your hips feel like that nutrients from the breath is branching out into root system all the way wide. Inhale, lengthen upwards. Exhale, reach those roots down and out. And we'll return our awareness to the sensation of movement. Go ahead and roll your shoulders. We'll take one forward, then the other. And then roll them back. One and then the other. All right. Let's go back to our feet wide. And those knees dropping to one side. Okay, from here, we're going to use our tummy muscles to pull us forward. And then we're going to press down through the knees and shins to lift your tail off the ground. Slowly lower back down. And then we will switch sides. If your knees are uncomfortable, some extra padding under them can help. Now, the next time you sit back down, we have this back leg here. I want you to try and lift it. Sitting as tall as you can, see if you can lift that foot off the ground. And then we will try the second side. These are muscles that are needed to help keep the hips balanced. We'll go back over to the other side. This time, instead of playing with that back leg, we're going to rotate the torso towards the front knee. Lengthen the torso up, feeling a stretch around maybe the midsection or rib cage. Lengthen the spine and lean forwards. Bring it on up. We'll switch sides. We'll play with the rotation first. And then lengthen over that front leg. Bring it back up. We're going to come to hands and knees. Tight core, so you're neither sagging or tucking. We're going to lift your right hip off the ground, and that brings your right knee with it. Bring that right hip off the ground, and we're going to draw little circles with our knee. Other direction. Bring that knee in front, shin to the floor. We're going to stretch the other leg back. Get some hip flexor stretches in here. So my tail is tucked under, lifting my heart upwards. And if you'd like to, you can put a little rock in here. All right. Bring up your heels so that you're on the balls of your feet. And lengthen your legs. That front leg might not go totally straight. That's just fine. There's not really room for it to do so, but just press down through that heel. And bring it back down to hands and knees. We're going to lift up the second hip and draw circles. Other direction. And bring that shin forward. We'll slide the other leg back. Stretch out the hip flexors. Warm them up. Come up on the balls of your feet. Lengthen the legs. Tail to the sky. And then let's walk our feet towards each other, forward fold, and we're going to bend one knee and then the other. And this is neat because not only is it stretching out the hamstrings and the calves and down through the feet, but it's also warming up the hip and low back area in such a way as to calm the nervous system. All right, now go ahead and bring it down to a squat. See if you can focus on stretching that soleus, so the back of the ankle on up. And lengthen. Press your tail towards the sky. Back down. As these hamstrings warm up when you're lengthening, see if you can get your body, your torso closer and closer to your thighs. We're going to hang out in this one. Do a little bit more of that knees left and right. And then forward fold. Just hang forward. Let your head hang so your eyes are looking at your knees. And then slowly walk your feet back. We're going for a downward facing dog. So the palms of the hands will come to the ground. Feet walk back. Reaching the heels towards the floor. You've got your calves stretching now. And then I want you to put a really big lift in the tail, even if that means you have to bend the knees slightly to get around those hamstrings. Really lift the tail up so you've got a little arch in your low back. And then we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna focus on heels down, and then tail up. Armpits reaching towards your knees, then heels down, tail up. And then we're gonna see what it's like to go for both, keeping the tail up, keeping the armpits reaching towards the knees, but our heels are actually going down too. And then let it come down, hands and knees. All right, we're going to take our right hand and thread it under. We're going to rest our weight on our shoulder for a moment. Let your head rest down on the ground. And kind of let yourself rock or stretch into this. This probably feels mostly like a shoulder and neck stretch, but notice what it feels like to move your hips around too. And release. We'll take it to the other side. And bring it back up. We're going to take our right leg out behind us and bring that hip up and down. So just like we played with in hands and knees when we lifted that hip, we're taking it up and down. The back foot will have to rotate naturally. And let's see how high we can get it. If you'd like to increase the stretch, you can take the right arm, reach it away. And release. We're going to take the second leg out behind, ball of the foot to the ground, lift and lower the hip. Go ahead and lift it as high as it will go. Use the other arm to reach away a little extra if you'd like. And let it go. Let's bring our right knee forward and our left knee back. Low lunge. So we're going towards a straight line between the knees. And we'll push and pull. Press the hips back. And for right now, we're going to keep the foot down. If there's any arch cramp that decides to get in there, you can of course pull it up and or stick your thumb in that arch to release the cramp. but we'll play with back and forth, keeping the foot low. All right, and then take this leg out to the side. So if my belly button's looking at the ground, I've got one knee underneath of me and one leg reaching out to the side. I'm going to press my hips back, my hips going to my one heel, and then bring it back up. Let's do it again. Back. And bring it up. All right. With your right leg out to the side, we're going to take our right arm and thread the needle. And bring it up. We'll stretch all the way to the sky. Do it again. Two more. Excellent. Bring this leg in front again. This time we'll pull back the toes. Lunge. Toes to nose, towards nose. Your toes shouldn't actually touch your nose. Nice. Bring it back to hands and knees. I'm going to go the other way just so it's easier to see. We'll bring our left leg in front. Sole of the foot will stay down towards the ground. Low lunge. And push back. Take it at your own pace. Really allow yourself to feel like you're feeling your full range of motion in each direction. And then bring this front leg out to the side. Play with pressing back, hip to heel. And up. Press it back. And up. With the left leg out to the side, we'll take our left arm under to thread the needle. And lift. We'll do that 3 more times. When you're done with about 4, we'll bring our leg in front again. Low lunge. Press back this time, bringing your toes towards your nose. And move it through the flow. Last one. And let's bring ourselves back to forward fold. Breathe in, soften your knees, come all the way up to standing. We'll take our hands high over our heads. Exhale, forward fold, right back down. Breathe in, half lift. Stretch your upper body straight out in front of you with a lot of core strength here. Your hands might be on the ground or on your legs for support. If you'd like to really work on that core strength and you feel like it's safe for you to do so today, you can lift your pinkies up behind you. Bring your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, back down. Take your right leg, step it back, low lunge. Step it back to plank. Tight tummy, ever so slight tuck of the tail to do that. We'll bring our knees down to the ground and then our elbows back towards our hips, slowly lowering us towards the floor. So elbows are going back, not wide. And then use your back muscles to lift your chest off the floor as far as it'll go, and then press down through the hands to lift you up as high as you can go without popping your shoulders. Press back, child's pose. Bring it up, downward facing dog, tail in the air. We'll stretch our right leg up high behind us, and then swing it forward, low lunge. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. Inhale back up. Forward fold. Half lift. Forward fold. Left leg steps back behind you, low lunge. Plank. Drop the knees if you'd like. You can keep them off the ground if you prefer. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, lift the heart. Use the arms as needed to lift you up the rest of the way. Child's pose, hips to heels. And then downward facing dog. Left leg high behind you. Swing it forward, low lunge. Forward fold. Breathe in, come all the way up. Hands to heart space. We're going to do some balancing poses to stretch our hips. So if you'd like to use a wall for a little bit more balance so that you can totally focus on your hip stretch, please feel free to find a wall. So we're going to start with a dancer. There are a few different hand holds that people use. My preference is this one where we open the shoulder, because my pecs are always already tight anyway. So open the shoulder. That makes my palm face away from me and my thumb face away. And I'm going to stick my foot in my hand. And at first, I'm going to give my body a chance to settle into this. Let my quadriceps stretch out. Let my pecs stretch out. My biceps. And feel all these things individually. And I just want to give them a chance to warm up into this position. And then, once I feel like everything's kind of gotten into place, I'm going to actively lift the hip of my bent knee. So I've got my right foot. I'm going to lift my right hip so that my pelvis is level because it was kind of sagging there. And then I'm going to tuck my tail a little bit. And when I tuck my tail, all of a sudden I feel some more quadricep stretch that I didn't before. And then I'm going to try and push my foot as if I'm trying to break free of my hand. My hand isn't going to let it, but I'm going to push my foot like I'm trying to get it to the ground. And instead, because I have it in my hand, it's going to float up behind me because I'm trying to straighten my leg. And that's the furthest it can get away with me while still being in my hand. So now, of course, I've opened up more pecs, more biceps. So I'm going to give this all a chance to regroup. Again, use whatever you need to assist in balance. But this is our dancer pose. And let it go. We'll bring the knee towards the chest, give everything a wiggle. And we'll take the other side. Okay, so again, we're going to open up. Foot in hand. Some time to acclimate the body. And then start to level out the pelvis. That might mean pushing this hip forward. And then, of course, that tuck. Begin to press the foot out behind you. And maybe you tip forward, maybe you don't. That's going to ask more of the hamstrings on your standing leg. And release. Bring that knee on up, give everything a wiggle. One more standing balancing pose. Again, please feel free to use a wall. We're going to take from a tree pose. We'll set the ankle above the opposite knee. So I'm going to bend this knee a little bit to make a little shelf. And while I'm at it, I might as well make a big shelf. So I'm going to sink my hips back. And I tend to put my elbow on this knee to encourage it out wide. Tips for balance. Find a spot on the floor that's right in front of your eyes. Hold on to it with your gaze. Letting your belly button fall into your lap and your tail reach further and further out behind you. And let it go. We'll take the other side. From our tree, over the knee, slowly make your way into that big shelf. And a really safe way to do this is to do it right in front of your couch. So if you lose your balance, you can just throw your weight back, it'll catch you. There you go. Let those hips really stick out. Let the belly button fall towards your lap. The spine is slowly lengthening. Hips are deepening. And let it go. Let's take a great big stretch up. Arms overhead. And forward fold. Notice the difference between this forward fold and our first one of class. And I want you to do something a little bit different. I want you to think about pressing the balls of your feet down into the mat. Not so much that it knocks you over, but enough that you're feeling that engagement. Balls of the feet pressing down into the mat. And then take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax. Get deeper into your stretch. Again, press. Deep breath in. Relax. Deep breath out. Get lower. Press, deep breath in. Exhale, relax deeper. And let it go. Make your way down to the mat. We're going to lay on our sides. All right. So we're going to lay on our side wherever your head and arm are that's comfortable for you. Do that. But my knees are at 90 degrees. So I've got my hips, knees, feet down there. And we're going to start with open and close. Now my pelvic bone, my hip here, is going to stay as still as possible, while my knee has the most range of motion I can possibly squeeze out of it. And then same movement, but the heels stay together, clamshells. Now most of us are pretty strong in this adduction, or excuse me, the abduction, pulling away, the legs pulling away. But this one again is a little bit trickier. We're going to bring this shin as vertical as possible. My knee is touching the floor in front of the other knee or above the other knee. And keeping that shin as vertical as possible. You're going to try to touch up towards the ceiling. Now, oftentimes you'll get to a certain point and then the hip wants to rotate. Minimize that. If you find that you're rotating, you've gone too far. Keep it really small. When I first started, I could barely get my knee off the ground because I was so weak here. But since I've strengthened it, I find so much less pain in my life, particularly right around that sciatic nerve. And let it go. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to stretch both legs out, make sure I don't kick my teeth. Get as straight as possible without falling over. So I'm going to put my hand here for a little balance. We're going to lift the outer ankle straight up. Outer ankle up. And then rotate the hip, toes up. Okay, now with the toes up, we're going to bend the knee, set the foot down in front of the other knee. So I've got my leg back here, and we're going to do just that. Inner ankle up to the ceiling. Very nice. Bring this knee down towards the floor. Bring your shoulder blades towards the floor as well. Big rotational twist for the spine. And let it go. Go ahead and roll over to your other side, or you can flip so you can keep seeing the screen. We'll go back to 90 degrees with the knees. Open and close. Pelvis staying still. Totally normal to have this seem harder than the first side, and that's just because you're actually using the muscles in both legs to do this. You just notice the upper one more. So your lower one at this point is already tired from being the upper one, and now it's being asked to help out to be the lower one. It's just a little tired already. And then clamshells, feet together, open, keeping that pelvis as still as possible. And then the funky little one, this top knee touches the floor above the other knee. Get this shin as vertical as possible, pelvis still, little toes to the ceiling. All right. Stretch the legs out long, straight line from head to toe. Outer ankle lift. Put a little abdominal support here. Feel your tummy tighten a little bit to keep you from rolling forward through your hips. Change it. Toes up. Last one. Bend the knee. Set the foot down. Now, I'm feeling so tight right here that it's hard to get my foot to stay there. It wants to slide off the ground. So I'm knowing that I'm pretty tight there today. But do what you can on this one. We're going to lift the lower one inner ankle towards the sky. And let it go. Drop this knee to the ground, rotate through the spine. Let it go. We're going to roll to our backs. Bring your knees up. And imagine drawing circles on the ceiling with them. Tight tummy, especially when the knees are pointed away. Help support the low back. Other direction. Excellent. We'll do one more quadricep stretch by taking our feet away from each other. And then dropping both knees to one side. If you're not feeling this quadricep or hip flexor stretch for the back leg, just bring it on up a little higher behind you. And the other side. And let it go. We're going to bring both knees over to one side. And we're going to make this stretch suit your needs. So maybe you take the foot a little bit further and focus on the hip from here. Maybe a spinal twist isn't the best from you, in which case you can bring the body with you. Maybe the knee comes up. Maybe it's a hip stretch by stretching it out long. Maybe you do feel that in the hip. Maybe you feel it down further. That's okay, because what supports the legs, is down here lower anyway. But maybe you really need the spinal rotation and you reach this arm back. Just make it yours and allow yourself to sink into your own weight.
go, and we'll play with that on the other side. And let it go. This is your opportunity to take any last moves or stretches that you'd like to before Shavasana. I encourage you to explore your full range of movement and just kind of feel like a cat in that waking up position where they're just squirming. Might make you feel a little yawny. And then working your way down to resting in your Shavasana. That's our relaxation pose, where we have our legs long and relaxed, our arms by our sides, traditionally palms up, shoulder blades are tucked under, the chin is just a little tucked, and if you are chilly, this is a great time to grab a blanket or socks or sweater. And allow yourself to feel the weight of your body on the floor. And just like we practiced with our beginning pranayama breathing practice, we're going to think of inhaling, lifting up through the heart, exhaling, dropping roots down and out through the back of the heart. If you become aware of your mind drifting, that's normal. Simply invite your thoughts back to the breath. Inhaling, the heart rising. Exhaling, the roots grow deeper and wider.
awareness back to the room that you're in and return to that squirming, stretching, curious movement. Finding your range of motion, finding those funny little angles. And then making your way up to sitting. We'll bring our hands to heart space and our thoughts to a place of gratitude. Together, we'll take a deep inhale and exhale. And on the exhale, I invite you to Om along with me if you'd like. Take a deep breath in. Thank you. Namaste.